The Train That Never Left the Night. Prologue. Some places do not demand to be found. They wait quietly, patiently, until someone arrives without knowing why. Among wide fields and slow-moving hills, there was a station that did not belong to any timetable, company, or route. It stood alone, weathered by decades of gentle seasons, not storms. Its wooden beams carried the scent of rain even on dry days, and its windows reflected not the present, but something older, softer, and unmeasured. It had no name printed above the entrance, only a faded sign that once held letters but now held only memory. People who traveled far enough eventually reached it, but never twice for the same reason. Some arrived because their feet led them there. Others because their minds needed silence long before their bodies understood. The station was not abandoned. It was simply unbothered by the world's momentum. At precisely 1 minute past midnight, not earlier, not later, a train appeared on its tracks. It did not come from anywhere that could be mapped, and it did not depart toward anything that could be imagined. It simply arrived as though the night required a heartbeat, and that was enough. Chapter 1. A Station Measured in Quiet. The path leading to the station was not marked, yet it never felt lost. It drifted through tall grass, weaving like a slow thought, guided more by intuition than direction. Walking along it felt less like movement, and more like allowing the world to settle back into place. The surrounding landscape held a softness that could not be described by seasons or climate. It was not warm or cold, bright or dim. It simply existed without urgency. Even the wind seemed uninterested in choosing a speed, sliding gently across the fields like a careful hand smoothing fabric. As the station came into view, it did not emerge suddenly. Rather, it revealed itself gradually, as if unsure whether attention was necessary. Its wooden exterior carried the color of old paper, not yellowed, not brittle, just touched by time in a way that felt respectful. Vines did not climb its walls. Flowers did not crowd its foundation. Nature treated it the way one treats a sleeping animal, present but unobtrusive. The platform stretched longer than expected, as though built for trains with more carriages than any living person had ever seen. No benches stood along it, yet there was no discomfort in waiting. The act of standing there felt restful. The clock above the entrance was not broken, though it had only one functioning hand, the minute hand. It circled with unwavering calm, but its position held no significance. Time here was not a ruler, it was a companion. The station held no posters, no maps, no warnings. There were no schedules except for one framed sheet of paper, hung beneath a dusty lantern. Its edges had curled from age, but the ink remained crisp. 001, arrival. No destination, no departure, no platform number, no instructions. Just a promise, quiet and complete. People who found the station rarely tried to understand it. They simply stood, breathing slowly, as though the world beyond the fields no longer needed them. Some stayed only a moment. Others remained until the sky changed color, but everyone left lighter than they arrived. Not emptier, just less burden. The station asked for nothing, and in return it offered space. Not physical space, but the kind that appears inside a person once noise begins to fade, even during daylight. Something subtle hinted that midnight mattered. A hush beneath the breeze, a pause between birdsong, a stillness resting beneath ordinary hours. Nothing waited urgently, yet everything felt prepared. As evening deepened into twilight, the horizon softened like a blanket being gently pulled upward. Colors dissolved not into darkness, but into comfort. The first stars appeared carefully, as though reluctant to disturb the quiet. They did not pierce the sky. They settled into it, and the station, though unchanged, seemed to inhale a slow intake of silence, not anticipation, recognition, as if time itself remembered what came next. Chapter 2. The Shape of a Train in the Dark. Night did not fall over the fields. It folded itself around them like a familiar cloak. The last remnants of daylight faded gently, leaving behind no sharp lines, only soft-ed edges where sky, land, and air met without argument. The station lights were few and modest. They glowed with a muted amber tone, casting halos on the old wooden planks, making the platform look less like a place people pass through, and more like a room someone once lived in. Shadows grew long, and then stopped growing, as if they too understood that there was nowhere they needed to reach. The rails, faintly visible in the dimness, extended into a distance that could not be seen, disappearing into a horizon that no longer offered answers. Silence in that hour did not feel empty. It felt layered, built from all the pauses and unspoken words that had ever been carried to this place. When the clock's minute hand slid past 12, nothing obvious happened. There was no chime, no mechanical reminder that a new day had begun. The world did not shift beneath anyone's feet. The station simply existed, exactly as it had one moment before. And yet something changed. It was a thinning of distance, a soft tightening in the air, like the instant before someone whispers a name. Out beyond the glow of the lamps, where darkness lay unbroken, a faint outline began to form. It was not drawn by light. There were no headlights, no beams cutting through the night. Instead, the darkness itself seemed to take on a shape, aligning along one long, low line, with softer lines rising above it in measured repetition. A train. It did not arrive. It appeared. One heartbeat, it was not there. The next, it stood perfectly still against the depth of the sky, its carriages resting on the rails, as if they had always belonged there. The surface of the train reflected the station's weak light, in muted glimmers, like moonlight on water stirred only once and then forgotten. It was impossible to tell which era had built it. Its metal carried no logo, no coat of paint, no name. It was not new, not rusted, not proud, not neglected. It was something beyond those words. The windows, framed in shadow, held a soft, unwavering glow from within. It was not bright enough to spill onto the platform, but strong enough to suggest depth, not the depth of corridors and aisles, but of rooms filled with air that had learned how to rest. No doors slid open, no steps lowered to the platform. There was no invitation, no announcement, no instruction to board. And yet, the train did not feel closed. It felt complete. Its presence changed the way space behaved. The platform felt narrower, not from constriction, but because attention drew naturally toward the long, dark shape. The night seemed to gather more closely around it, gently pressing it into existence. anyone watching, there was no sense that they were meant to do anything about it. They were not called upon to decide whether to go or stay. The train's existence was enough. Sharing a moment beside it was enough. There was no sound of engines idling, no low mechanical hum beneath the stillness. If anything moved at all, it was something small and internal, the subtle shift of a world remembering that stillness was also a form of motion. The longer the train stood there, the more natural it seemed that it had come. The uneasy unfamiliarity of its sudden arrival softened into a quiet recognition, as though the mind finally caught up with something the heart had already understood. Nothing in the station reacted. The lamps shone as before. The old wood continued to cool under the touch of the night. The minute hand circled calmly. Only the presence of the train marked the difference between an ordinary midnight and this one. It did not ask to be believed. It did not offer proof. It simply remained where it was, a line of carriages holding light and shadow in perfect balance. Chapter 3. Windows that remembered what people forgot. From the platform, the glow within the carriages seemed gentle and distant, as if the light itself was tired of being bright. The glass did not shine sharply. Instead, it softened whatever lay behind it, smoothing edges and blurring shapes, until only impressions remained. Looking at the windows gave a strange sensation, not of curiosity, but of recognition. It was easy to imagine that each pane of glass reflected not the station outside, but fragments of something once known, now paused and carefully stored. One window might have held the faint suggestion of a room filled with morning light, curtains fluttering in a breeze that smelled like bread and coffee. Another might have shown the outline of a garden bench, half hidden by the shadow of a tree that had grown taller than anyone planned to measure. A third could have carried the image of a quiet street, wet from rain that had finished falling, but left its coolness in the air. None of these visions were clear, and none lasted long enough to be fully grasped. They seemed to hover on the edges of noticing, appearing only when the mind relaxed, and the eyes were not trying to focus. For those who stood there long enough, the light inside the train began to feel less like something separate and more like a reflection of the person watching. Not in a direct way, not as a mirror does, but the way a calm lake in the late evening can make someone aware of their own breathing. The train did not summon memories. It did not force anything to the surface. Instead, it created a stillness in which forgotten days could quietly return if they wished. Perhaps someone standing alone on the platform might suddenly feel the soft weight of a blanket from a childhood room, the pattern of its stitching as real as the boards beneath their shoes. Another might sense the rough texture of a wooden desk where a hand once traced meaningless lines during long drifting thoughts. Someone else might remember the exact color of a sky that belonged to one particular morning many years ago, for no reason other than that it had been beautiful in a quiet way. The train did not show these things. It simply allowed them to appear. It was not a vessel that carried people from one location to another. It was a vessel in which moments, long since scattered, could gather for a while without being chased away. Time inside the carriages felt different from time on the platform. Even from outside, it was possible to sense it. Time was not moving forward like a straight line there. It was settling, layering, folding gently over itself like soft fabric placed carefully into a drawer. Nothing about the train was dramatic. There was no sense of revelation, no sudden flood of understanding. Instead, there was the slow realization that it held room for all the small things a person forgets in order to keep walking. A single hand resting on the back of a chair, an old song heard from a window on a summer evening. The feeling of cool floorboards beneath bare feet on the first early morning of a new season. The train did not name these things or assign them meaning. It simply did not allow them to be lost. And on the platform, beneath the patient circle of the minute hand, anyone who lingered there long enough could feel that something inside them was being gently rearranged, not into something new, but back into what had quietly been there all along. Chapter 4. A night that did not end all at once. The night around the station did not rush toward morning. It stretched itself out carefully, as though wanting to make sure that each passing moment had enough room to breathe. The stars above were steady and unblinking, spread across the sky with a calm arrangement of things that had been in place for longer than anyone could measure. Their light did not compete with the lamps, nor with the glow from the train's windows. Everything simply existed beside everything else, without rivalry. The air cooled slowly, 1 degree at a time, wrapping shoulders and skin in a softness that did not demand reaction. Somewhere far beyond the fields, a faint sound might have been carried, the distant rustle of leaves, the gentle turning of water in a hidden stream. But here, at the station, all those sounds arrived muted, already halfway to silence. The train remained exactly as it had been since it appeared. No carriage door had shifted, no light had flickered, no metal had groaned or relaxed. Yet the longer it stood there, the less strange it felt that a fully formed train could exist without movement. It began to seem natural, like the way a mountain can stand in one place for centuries, watching the weather change around it. To those who stayed through the night, time took on a different weight. Minutes lengthened, not into boredom, but into softness. They were full without being busy. Thoughts that usually raced ahead to tomorrow's tasks and yesterday's regrets found fewer places to run. They slowed, settled, and then simply sat down. It became easier to stand without shifting, to breathe without trying, to feel without naming. Beneath the train's silent presence, the station became less a location and more a pause. I held breath between two words, in a sentence that had not yet decided how it wanted to continue. The night did not end with a sudden change. There was no sharp line drawn across the horizon, no dramatic sweep from dark to light. Instead, at a certain unnoticed moment, the black of the sky began to soften. It started not at the edge, but high above. Stars dimmed slightly, not as if they were being extinguished, but as if someone were stepping back from them, increasing the distance. The darkness around the train shifted in color, from ink to deep blue, then from blue to something that approached gray. The lamps on the platform became less pronounced. Their halos were no longer the brightest thing in sight. Morning was not yet here, but it had begun to think about arriving. Still, the train did not move. If anything, it seemed more solid now, outlined clearly against the softening sky, a dark, grounded presence. in a world that was slowly waking up. For one long, tender stretch of time, night and not yet morning existed together, and the train belonged entirely to that in-between. It was not a creature of the day, nor was it a fragment of the dark. It lived in that fragile, beautiful overlap where neither had fully taken hold. Anyone standing there in those minutes might have felt that if they closed their eyes, they could stay in that in-between forever, held gently in a place where nothing was demanded of them at all. Chapter 5, a departure that left everything behind. Eventually, almost imperceptibly, morning began to take its quiet place over the fields and the station. The sky lightened from within as if someone had poured milk into the darkest part of the night and then stepped away without stirring it. Shadows lost their depth, flattening gently against the ground. The rails, once silver only in lamplight, caught the first suggestion of day. Birdsong returned, not with a burst, but with scattered notes, like thoughts tested one at a time. Before a full sentence is spoken, the lamps along the platform continued to glow, though their light was no longer needed. They did not mind. They had done the same thing many times before. The clock's single hand kept moving without comment. The train remained in place, its shape now more obvious than mysterious. It looked exactly as it had under the night sky, and yet in the presence of the coming day, it felt more like a memory than an object. The glow from the windows, once so noticeable in the darkness, began to fade, not dimming as a lamp does when switched off, but thinning, like mist in sunlight. It was as though the light was returning somewhere inside, carrying everything it had gathered with it. There was no sound to mark the moment when the train began to leave. There was no lurch of motion, no sharp squeal of wheels against metal, no burst of steam or smoke. Instead, it simply became less present. The edges of its carriages blurred almost imperceptibly, as if the air around them had decided to reclaim the space. The solid lines softened, and shadows within shadows lost their definition. No gap opened between the wheels and the rails. The platform did not tremble. The station remained exactly as it was, and yet, with each blink, the train seemed farther away from the world of things that could be touched, until at last it was gone, not vanished. That would have suggested something sudden. Not departed, that would have implied a movement. It had simply completed its being there. The tracks lay quiet and ordinary, bearing no sign that anything remarkable had rested upon them. The platform looked as it always did in early light, a stretch of wood and space, waiting for footsteps that might or might not come. The station exhaled lightly, not in relief, but in continuity. The fields, now taking on pale green and gold, stood in their familiar stillness. The sky continued to soften into day. The world resumed the slow work of being itself. But something remained changed in a way that was difficult to name. For those who had stood there through the night, the absence of the train was as present as its arrival had been. There was a new quiet in their chest, not empty, but spacious. Thoughts, once crowded and restless, now moved more gently, like people in a room who have finally stopped arguing and started listening. The station, unchanged in form, felt different in meaning. It was no longer just a place without a timetable. It had become, for at least one pair of eyes, a point in the world where the night itself had decided to sit down for a while. In the shape of a train, the day would move forward, bringing with it errands and tasks and voices and noise. The path through the tall grass would be walked again for reasons that had nothing to do with the station at all. But somewhere beneath those reasons, like a faint but steady echo, there would always remain the memory of a train that never truly left the night, a train that did not carry bodies, but quietly rearranged hearts. And when darkness returned, and the minute hand completed its patient circle, the station would once again inhale. The rails would once more accept a presence that did not need to arrive in order to be real.